You're in the car, sun glaring off endless brake lights, the air thick with exhaust and the low rumble of frustrated engines. It's that special kind of traffic jam where even your GPS is questioning its life choices, just dragging you to nowhere. But then, wait, you don't consciously make a move, but your hands glide, steering into a lane that wasn't open a second ago. An exit ramp slides into view, and suddenly, in one impossible cascade of movements, you're on wide open road. You blink, give a sigh of relief, but how? You can't retrace the path that just appeared. It's as if something grabbed your hand and guided you through the chaos. So is that just luck? Consider this. What if, in that moment of despair, your future self reached back with an assist, moved the odds in your favor, and left you wondering, how did that just happen? Maybe your luck could be something far more powerful. Influence. Not just an outcome, but an originating force pushing through the geometry of time. Today, we're exploring retrocausality, the idea that your future influences your present, and the present can rewrite your past. Grab your tinfoil thinking cap, settle in, and get ready to have your understanding of reality and your place within it upended. Like always, we go where the mystery, history, and the science converge into the very structure of time itself, to shift what feels like the impossible into the inevitable. It's a lot to take in, but I promise it's worth the time. So, is fate simply physics? Let's go.
In the future, Lord, we stand so bright. Mystery calls in the dark of night. Curiosity dances in our eyes. Joyful beacons under endless skies. Ancient wisdom blends with the...
How did our ancestors, without digital clocks, particle accelerators, or quantum labs, think about time? Turns out, wisdom traditions across the globe explored realities they knew were far more fluid than our linear, everyday experience. They understood time as a living, interconnected flow of all moments, where knowledge arrives from tomorrow, reshaping yesterday. The Norse viewed fate as the web of weird, a vast, ever-weaving tapestry, not a fixed script. Your choices didn't just determine tomorrow. Every present action intertwined past, present, and future, subtly rearranging the meaning of what had to be and constantly shaping the paths ahead. They literally saw life as a continuous, dynamic realignment of destined outcomes. Sufi mystics took this even further with gnosis, or direct knowledge that arrives from beyond ordinary linear learning. They claimed insights about tomorrow were always accessible today, developing practices to achieve altered states that dissolved linear time, retrieving practical guidance from across their entire timeline. Imagine knowing the perfect next step before your path even appeared. And Buddhist philosophy engages with dependent origination, the idea that everything arises in interconnection that transcends simple cause and effect. Nothing exists alone. Everything emerges from complex relationships spanning past, present, and future simultaneously. It's reality understood as a feedback loop, where endings have influence over beginnings. These cultures held wisdom that already knew what science is only now beginning to grasp, the hidden architecture of time itself. Their practices were technologies of consciousness, showing past, present, and future in constant conversation, with information flowing both ways. They suggest you're not just heading into the future, but that you're actively reaching back, and maybe even sideways, to hold your own hand. It still sounds like magic, doesn't it? Well, if your mind is already stretching, that's the point. Let's head right into the wreckage where the growing science crashes into our everyday understanding. Welcome to the delayed choice quantum eraser. Totally weird and also totally lab proven. You know the classic double slit experiment? A photon, a tiny particle of light, beamed from a laser at two slits in a barrier, passes through them like a wave, creating an interference pattern by going through both slits at once. Unless you observe and measure as it passes through, then it acts like a particle, picking just one path. That's weird enough already because observation itself seems to change reality. I mean, matter can't decide to act as a particle or a wave. It should be just one or the other, either way. But now let's add a layer of delayed choice. Scientists again fire a photon, but only decide how to measure its path after it's already passed the slits. It should be too late to matter, but oddly, the particle's past behavior changes based on a measurement made in the future, correlated by timestamps in the lab. And depending on that future observation, it then retroactively acts like a wave or a particle. Okay, it's getting weirder, but the next experiment takes it even further. I mean, already common sense says, nope, the past is the past, and you can't change what's already happened. But in the lab, the quantum eraser says, hold my beer. Here's how it works. Physicists entangle two photons into quantum twins, where measuring one is the same as simultaneously measuring the other. One twin heads through the slits. Its partner sits to the side and carries a which path decision for the twin going through the slits. Now, the key. Observe the idle partner, and the first photon's past behavior is particle-like. But make a special measurement that erases the which way information from the partner to the side, and the active first photon's past behavior changes back into a wave, as though it wasn't observed at all. This feels impossible, defying everything that our lived experience tells us. But it isn't just a theory. Labs worldwide replicate these results, and they always work exactly as predicted. No causal paradox, just quantum correlations challenging our intuition about when things happen and forcing us to rethink which events are fixed and which are still negotiable. Listen, the quantum eraser doesn't say the future creates the past in a cinematic way, but that if reality can respond to future measurement choices, then time is structured so that the future can reach back to alter which past possibilities become facts. And that's subtle, but it matters. And yeah, if you're still processing all that, you're in good company. And these things can feel meaningless to our lived experience, but just stick with the science with me for a little bit longer. We assume that the arrow of time moves in only one direction, one linear axis, forever forward into eternity. But a bold new proposal, freshly published in April of this year, 2025, challenges this view. Dr. Gunther Kletetschka proposes a mathematical model that could explain the delayed choice oddities. His proposal, not a proof, lays out all the math necessary to support his theory that time is 3D and moving in three independent axes, not just one, each mapped to distinct physical scales of mass. And okay, if that sounds abstract, try thinking of time as a multi-track recording where matter interacts in a musical geometry, flowing out into a quick quantum tick, the earthly groove, and a slow cosmic bassline. Track 1 is the quick click, the tiny high-frequency layer where quantum events perform, vibrating super fast into and out of our field. Track 2 is the mid-tempo, the rhythms where particles interact and form stable patterns of mass in the physical world that we experience through our usual senses. And track 3 is the slow sweep, the deep baseline that shapes gravity and the long-term cosmic structure of space and eternity. Now, if we use his equations to play those 3 tracks together, and complex instruments like particles, forces, and even mass hierarchies naturally emerge as the harmonic music of reality. In this model, the familiar particles that make up everything around you, from your coffee to your chromosomes, aren't just random bits of matter. Think about that. Your very existence, down to the fundamental particles that compose you, could result from the shape and symmetries of time. If correct, this flips our conventional understanding. It's not that matter exists in time, but that matter itself is a property of time's geometric structure as laid out in his equations. Wild, right? But this 3D time theory is testable. It makes precise predictions for experiments that are happening now and more launching in the coming years. Next generation instruments being built can use collider experiments, improved gravitational wave detectors, and large cosmological surveys that could all verify the signatures his equations predict. And it isn't just abstract physics anymore. If those signals align to the theory, that might just confirm the ancient wisdom and the weird science, that the future isn't just out there waiting for us. It's actively reaching back, shaping the structure of our present and potentially even our past. Okay, but really, why should you even care? If a tiny photon can receive information from its future, what does this say about your future and your ability to shape both what's coming and also what was? To really grasp this, we need to zoom out beyond particles, labs, and equations and get real. So look back on your life, those strangely perfect timings, that gut check out of nowhere that saved you more than once, meeting random people who changed your life just when you needed it. Could synchronicities be the echoes of this new physics, that three-dimensional time playing out across your story? For ages, we've dismissed these moments as just coincidence. But if a robust, testable theory like Kletetschka's is correct, then maybe our visible world is built on dynamic foundations. Perhaps these aren't random flukes, but signals that guide you toward your unfolding destiny and orchestrated by the geometry of time itself. It's time to stop ignoring the uncanny and lean into that unseen influence. And to understand how that might even be possible, let's step into the block universe. Picture yourself standing in your childhood bedroom, but it's 20 years beyond. The afternoon light streaks through the same window, casting identical shadows across the same wooden floor you remember. But then for just a moment, you almost smell your mom's signature brownies in the oven in the kitchen below. She's been gone for years, but it feels so real that you turn towards the door thinking of cold milk. Your rational mind dismisses this moment as nostalgia, but the felt awareness of all these moments, past, present, and future, might be illuminating a simultaneous reality that your everyday consciousness usually doesn't grasp. That fleeting experience, that ghostly resonance of a moment that was and is, could reveal reality's true structure. What if it wasn't just a memory, but a glimpse from inside the tesseract? What if reality, as Einstein theorized, is everything, everywhere, all at once? Welcome to the block universe model. Picture your entire life as a completed novel. Every single moment you've lived, will live, or could live, from your first breath to your last, already exists. You experience them one page at a time, but the whole story is already written. Think of time not as a flowing river, but a vast interdimensional geometry of probabilities. Every event, every choice, every moment is a fixed point inside this structure, all stretching far beyond what we perceive as time. And with the concept of three-dimensional time, this geometric structure, this tesseract, now has a precise and physical meaning. Here's a crazy facet of the block universe idea. Einstein's relativity shows that now depends on your viewpoint. There's no universal present moment shared by everyone. What felt simultaneous to you might happen at a different time for someone else across the universe. Your now includes events a million light years away from their ancient past, while their now includes moments from your distant future. Different observers slice through the block universe at different angles, each experiencing their own sequence of nows through the same eternal landscape. Physicist Lawrence Schulman pushed this even further with his two-time boundary condition. He argued the universe is constrained by both its past and its future. This means future events aren't just destinations, that they actively exert what he called cryptic constraints on present possibilities. And with Kletetschka's 3D time, we could find that these aren't just theoretical constraints, they can be built into the geometry of time itself. Your choices feel free, but might be steered towards specific outcomes by the mathematical structure of future possibilities that already exist. So, is the block universe carved in stone, or a dynamic, intelligent field where your future actively orchestrates its own emergence? Your path could already exist in space-time's eternal structure, but could it also be shifted through your choices? If everything already is it only because your decisions determine which pathways manifest? Perhaps you're not just moving through time, but in charge of its flow. Your thoughts, beliefs, attention, intention, could these be the tools to hack your past for tomorrow's power today? Not only manifesting your future, but understanding and commanding the universe to align your entire journey, even the parts that already happened. Wild, right? If this is sparking questions, then get ready for your brain to be on fire. Because if the present is this powerful, shaping the past and future through conscious participation, then we have to ask, what in the multiverse could free will even mean anymore? We've explored the radical idea that your present can reshape your past. So does that mean your path is already mapped? Your choices preordained? Or are you genuinely free, moving through the ether as you please? This question of free will versus destiny has plagued thinkers for millennia, often seen as an impossible either-or, black and white choice. On one side, there's superdeterminism, the idea that every single thing in the universe, from the first spark of creation to your next breath, was completely, perfectly, and absolutely determined from the very beginning. Every quantum wobble, every surprise, already decided. It kind of sounds terrifying to just be a character in a movie that you can't control. For some, this can bring profound peace. No mistakes, no wrong turns. It's already all figured out. But then there's the idea of radical free will. This asserts that your consciousness is the ultimate sculptor of reality and the sole master of its destiny. Every choice collapses quantum possibilities, shaping the fabric of existence. Your attention and intention actively pulling on probabilities and creating events. Remember that traffic jam? In this view, that seamless lane change wasn't luck or fate. It was you, in your glorious freedom, shaping the road. This sounds exhilarating. It's pure agency, total freedom. But it also implies immense responsibility for creating every scrap of reality and meaning in a fundamentally chaotic, random universe. So one side completely removes choice, while the other demands absolute free will to explain the weirdness of reality. It's black or it's white. This is where many conversations stop, stuck in a binary trap. But entertain this question with me. What if the universe is more elegant, more intelligently bizarre than either or? What if free will and destiny, choice and preordained paths aren't enemies, but could both be true? This leads us to compatibilism, the widely accepted, but also hotly debated idea that free will and destiny both exist simultaneously. Perhaps a way to see the bigger picture is to go deeper into reality itself and fold that picture into origami. Let's link some seemingly disparate ideas. Thinkers like Bernardo Kastrup, in his analytic idealism, propose a radical solution. The universe is fundamentally constructed of consciousness itself. What if a vast, living, intelligent network of information isn't just a metaphor, but the actual basis of reality? In this view, our individual minds aren't separate entities, but localized dissociations of the larger, singular, universal, or cosmic consciousness, like individual waves within a vast ocean. From this perspective, the free will paradox resolves itself. The universe, as a conscious entity, is always striving for its own optimal, coherent unfolding. Your choices feel free, not because they're uncaused, but because they are perfectly aligned with the absolute universal drive for the ideal. You are genuinely free to choose. But those choices are always working within the constraints of possibilities that only and always serve outcomes that this absolute conscious structure desires. So this means your past is not a rigid, fixed record that you change in a paradoxical way. Instead, your present conscious intention actively clarifies and refines the probabilistic makeup of your past. Those cryptic constraints from Schulman's two-time boundary condition, they become the universe's way of guiding you, ensuring that incoherent options just fade away and become unavailable, leaving only the most optimal pathways to coalesce into your path forward. 3D time could provide the geometric structure for how this operates, with its symmetries defining the optimal unfolding. Maybe reality isn't a chaotic, meaningless mess, nor a rigid script that demands obedience. It could be an infinite, self-organizing, intelligent mind. In this view, your freedom is the graceful experience of co-creating with the cosmic mind, even when it feels out of control. Not inventing from nothing, but discerning and choosing the most coherent path, the one that resonates most deeply with the universe's ultimate purpose of self-realization. Your choices clarify what had to be and illuminate what will be. This changes everything about how we understand free will. It's not a struggle against destiny, but a deep, resonant partnership with and within it. So, okay, if we're inside a cosmic mind with an intelligent, structured field of time that has more open doors than closed, then how do we walk through them? The ultimate spoiler for your Akashic script. Every then and every will be is also a now. And the now is the only point humans actively perceive and experience. So if you're present, right here, right now, is the key to not just your future, but the probabilistic makeup of your past, then how could it possibly be rewritten? Scientists are exploring the mechanism within your brain's neurons, specifically the tiny hollow structures called microtubules. Not just cellular plumbing, they're theorized to be biological channels capable of maintaining a coherent quantum state across distances. These might be the mechanisms through which our consciousness, shifting between higher and lower states of quantum symmetry, bridges seemingly disparate quantum and classical worlds. If so, they could be the conduits, the living circuitry, allowing your conscious intention to interact with the probabilistic ocean of space-time itself, operating in superposition, meaning they can exist in multiple states simultaneously, like the qubits in a quantum computer. And if time truly has 3 dimensions, these microtubules could be the biological wiring where those dynamic interactions flow. This theory says your focus, amplified through some unknown quantum property of your consciousness, operates through these microtubules to send out a signal, not to erase a past event, but to say, for this future to manifest, these probabilistic threads in the past must coalesce in this specific way. Your mind reaches out to the universe, and the universe, in its deep, strange quantum way, answers by adjusting the potentialities of prior moments, collapsing those possible states into the one that your future requires to unfold. And beyond a metaphor for cosmic alignment, again, the 3D framework suggests a concrete geometric pathway for this temporal feedback loop to operate within. So perhaps your consciousness acts as a kind of nexus through these microtubules, weaving and maybe reweaving different moments in your ongoing story. But if this is true for the individual, what happens when we scale this idea up to the entire human race? Could our individual minds start to align? Remember that lane opening in traffic, that precise, impossible slide into an exit you never saw coming? Hold on to that relief. And now imagine that feeling happening again and again, over and over for millions, then billions of humans, a sea of personal pulls that grows into a collective current. Let's picture a city at dusk with each person carrying a small lamp. Alone, a lamp lights a doorstep, but together, lamps illuminate smooth pathways that people have made, easing movement. Attention, when it clusters, can show how to find funding, shift research, shape policy, and reveal a way forward. More and more people adding their light can turn ideas into institutions. And then tie that city of lights to the science we've followed. The quantum eraser shows that the future can alter what looks like the settled past. Kletetschka's 3D time offers a geometric arena where those influences can connect and flow. Proposals about microtubules suggest a biological route for minds to engage with cross-time information. Taken together, it follows that if individual minds in the present can detect traces tied to the future, many aligned minds won't rewrite history with a snap, but they will tilt the odds. Networks concentrate persistent pressure, deepening those paths to stabilize into our present shared reality. Clustered attention throughout time makes some possibilities easier to realize and others harder to sustain. Our shared beliefs about reality, about human nature, about what's possible, they aren't just ideas. They create a vast collective superposition of reality that collapses into our shared historical events. Look at how big shifts actually play out. Scientific revolutions, social movements, cultural turnings. They don't actually arrive all at once like a bolt out of the blue, even when a singular event serves as a milestone of change. They emerge when teachers keep showing up to answer the same questions, when funders back one stubborn idea year after year after year until it succeeds, when labs and communities work at problems until the collective weight of those efforts break the dams of convention. Shared belief shapes what societies treat as plausible evidence. That plausibility reshapes institutions, technology, and memory. Over time, that social material feedback alters which histories become foundations and which fade. And if you accept that frame, even as a possibility, the practical move is simple and humane. Tend what you value until it gains form. Teach it, persist with it, keep the conversation alive. Personal drives, sustained and multiplied, become collective roads we'll map. So let the future meet you there. So here you are, present now. After all we've seen, from ancient wisdom to experiments that blur cause and effect, from geometric theories to proposals about how minds might register cross-time signals, and all we can conceive of time frozen and flowing all at once. What if every little coincidence that led you here, every algorithmic click, every overheard conversation, every thread of curiosity that pulled you through this whole episode, thank you. What if those weren't random? What if those moments are a thin but persistent magnetic pull, drawing you towards a future version of you who already knows more, who's already solved more, already understands how the now unfolds? What if the signature of time isn't each of us just carrying out our own story, but living every choice from our deepest intentions in moments leading not just forward, but also rippling backward, redefining meaning, dissolving alternatives, making the inevitable moments of your past align with the road that's rising to meet your future? Right now, and every now, you might be guiding your younger self. Imagine that. And then the all of us, billions of individual points of light, resonating, influencing. I like to think that the future of humanity isn't fated, but a constantly emerging, flowing, and growing tide of human potential, and that we are not spectators. We are the creators. Beyond the woo, this is the power of the conscious mind. Based on the edge of today's science, an ability to measure, to bridge the seen and the unseen, to operate within a reality that more and more doesn't seem to be fixed, but flexible. And this is why we question. This is why we connect to ideas and to each other, because the greatest mystery is not out there. It's within you. It's between us, fluid and alive, and just waiting for you to reshape its patterns in the now. So, have you ever shifted something in your past that you know is rippling into your future? Tell me in the comments below, and please, it really helps. Like, subscribe, and sign up for notifications on YouTube, and follow and review on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Want even more? Visit thefuturelore.com, where you can join our free community and find all of our official links to @thefuturelore, with no spaces, everywhere. Thanks so much for tuning in, my loves, and making it all the way through this episode. And remember, embrace the mysterious and stay curious.